hundreds of heroes in its nearly 90-year history. I think we're on 85 right now. But not every hero concept is a winner, and some are so bad, Marvel would rather we all just let them slip from our minds. One of the many Spider-Women, Maddie Franklin, seems to get put in and then immediately taken out. She is niece to Peter Parker's boss, J. Jonah Jameson. She got her powers through a weird ritual called the Gathering of Five, and then when Spider-Man disappeared for a few months, she was in the game. Then out of it soon after because she went missing, then came back, but then during Grim Hunt she was sacrificed, but then in Dead No More she came back as a clone, but then literally crumbled to dust. If I had a nickel for every time I watched a Spider-Kid crumble to dust, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Some fans didn't like the character just as she was. Others were upset that she got her powers through magic instead of science. Wait till they hear about what happened with the other dimension magic spider and Peter then. Some fans just thought a third Spider-Woman wasn't needed when she first appeared in the 90s. Now it seems like she has also found herself in the movie Madam Web, and I think we all know how that movie did, so we'll see how long this version of Maddie lasts. Now, I'm not sure if Marvel doesn't want us to remember this hero, or if they just forgot about her. Lorna the Jungle Queen hasn't been seen since the final issue in her 1950s series. There were only 26 issues in total, and I've read some of them. They come with some racially insensitive depictions of cultures that were common for the time, so that probably has played a role in why Lorna hasn't been brought back. The last issue ends with her and the animals of the jungle capturing 2 attempted poachers and keeping the preserve an animal sanctuary. We got a comment on a previous video mentioning Lorna that she should be incorporated into the main timeline again by having her appear in Wakanda. I think that's a great idea. They can fix some of the racial insensitivity from the first run and put her in. Lorna's character grew up in the African jungle with her father after her mother died during childbirth. As she grew, Lorna learned survival skills, but when her father passed due to a lion attack, she trained to become a skilled huntress and fighter. She rarely, if ever, used a gun as they had the possibility of jamming and failing, so instead she became a skilled wielder of various blades and spears. Marvel did publish an atlas for Lorna in 2010, so she is on their radar. With Black Panther 3 confirmed but no release date, I think Marvel could do it. I think they could bring in a new and improved Miss Lorna to life. Ulysses Archer hasn't been seen since 2011, and Marvel seems to want to leave that guy in the past. He was created for the 1980 series US1 based on the Tyco toy slot car racing toy line. He appeared as an applicant for Luke Cage and Jessica Jones's daughter's nanny, but he wasn't really in it. It was more like a cameo single panel thing. A few months later, in 2011's Annihilators Volume 1, he appeared again, but only as a supporting character. It feels like Marvel was trying to gauge whether or not fans remembered and wanted to see the guy again. He didn't pick up steam, unfortunately. Now Marvel seems to sweep him under the rug. His power set was a metal skull that could pick up on radio transmissions, and that's pretty much it. He's kind of strong, but he's college educated, good at driving, but the radio transmitter thing is his special skill, which seems less cool in the year 2024, but would have been way cooler in the 1980s. His series was also just wacky. It's only 12 issues long, and yet packed in a fight with a German Zeppelin captain, motorcycle gang, and aliens. The main problem people have had with the comic is the plot seems so unbelievable, a hard feat to accomplish when it comes to superheroes, but I guess an intergalactic trucker would do the trick. Maybe Ulysses will be seen again, but it seems Marvel is overusing his character for anything other than a cameo. Everybody knows the phrase, the luck of the Irish. Marvel capitalized on it and created the hero Shamrock. She is Irish and had the luck of the Irish, bought a pub later in life called the Luck of the Irish, wore green and had red hair. Just like every Irish stereotype rolled into one woman. In recent years, her character has been revamped a little to make everyone forget she started out as a literal walking stereotype. Shamrock's power was mystically mutated physiology. When she was a kid, she was raised by a militant Irish fanatic father. At the age of 3, her dad took her and her brother to the North Ireland mountains, asking the heavens to grant the sun powers to defeat enemies. But he brought his daughter along too, and something got messed up in the power transfer, and lo and behold, Shamrock came to be. She is a vessel for the innocents that died during war, and those innocents are the cause of her power. If Shamrock finds herself in trouble, the souls protect their host, and a soul will manifest itself as energy that makes her lucky. It seems like she was given a predetermined amount of souls though. Her luck had unfortunately either disappeared or wasn't great enough, and she broke her foot. She paid her bills by becoming a coveted hairdresser later on. Steel Grip Starkey's run, like many on this list, was a little racially insensitive and a little weird, which is probably why he is never seen after his 6-issue run and no one talks about him until now. The full title for the series is Steel Grip Starkey and the All-Purpose Power Tool. It was published in 1986. Mr. Starkey is not a superhero. He has no powers, but he is a hero. He was designed to be powerless to show that the honest working man was equally as much of a hero as Spider-Man or the Hulk. Well, if that working man had access to a magical tool that once touched by one specific person, it would turn into whatever machine you happen to need to save the day. The sentiment is kind of, we may have amazing machines, but the person working it is just as important. The comic itself, while a neat idea, doesn't hold its own when you put it next to the likes of the X-Men and the Avengers. The storylines are a bit out there. One of them is about somebody putting bombs on the moon, and it's not really explained why they do that. Sure, as Marvel fans, we're used to our fair share of wild, never explained plot points, but I'm drawing my line here. Sorry. Sports and comics. Unstoppable force meets an immovable object. Do they go together? Sometimes, and sometimes not. Today's sometimes not is NFL Super Pro. The series premiered in the 90s and lasted about 12 issues plus one bonus Super Bowl special. The starring hero was Phil Grayfield. He was a football player, of course, who got injured saving a small child because he's a hero, but it ended his career on the football field. Soon he stepped onto the hero playing field though. His job was sports reporting. While interviewing a scientist that had created an invulnerable football uniform, two thugs break in and steal everything but that. In the scuffle, some chemicals get on Phil and now he has powers, just like that. Turns out the series author helped write the story so he could get tickets to a Jets game. That's objectively hilarious. Literally, Fabian Nazia said, I was handed the concept and character, including his basic origin. I don't know if that was all the NFL's creative work or a combination of Marvel editorial and the NFL. I didn't ask, I just wanted Jets tickets. He's got his priorities straight, can't fault him there. If someone told me I would get free Eras Tour tickets if I wrote a Taylor Swift comic, it would be done in an hour. The SLE Brothers kicked off in 1989 and then dropped off shortly after. The series is only 6 issues and is a spin-off from a one-off comic strip created for Doctor Who, Follow That TARDIS. It's designed for adults and it follows a pair of brothers who grew up as orphans, but not on the Earth we know. Their Earth is far in the future and looks kind of like if you combine steampunk and 80s neon aesthetics and use that to build a city. It's full of everything weird and bad, very corrupt, and generally unwelcoming. The brothers exist here as private investigators. They are good at what they do, getting the right results, even if they don't always use the most morally sound methods. The brothers were seen in the totally stonking, surprisingly educational, and utterly mind-blowing comic relief comic of 1991, and then in the backup story in Image Comics Elephant Men issue 16 in 2009, and they haven't been seen since. Probably because the comic and characters weren't received well and the first issue really didn't sell well. Many said the series didn't have captivating enough stories and bad jokes. Now Marvel seems to have left them in the past. Marville, that's M-A-R-V-I-L-L-E, was created in 2002, and I think Marvel has regretted it ever since. It was part of the You Decide campaign, a public contest or publicity stunt, however you want to define it, that put 3 Marvel comics against each other: Captain Marvel, Ultimate Adventures, and of course Marville. Marville was not received well at all. Maybe the worst reception on this list. It's a satire about the Marvel and DC comic scene, but the writing just not very strong. It was so bad that it's the reason many people believe You Decide was a publicity stunt to sell more Captain Marvel comics. The comic follows Kal AOL, who gets sent back in time by his parents to save him from the meteor strike of 5002. Only the world didn't actually get destroyed, so his parents send the time machine to him to bring him back. The 18-year-old hero instead chooses to go to the dawn of time to meet God. 18-year-old activities. The art style changes for that single issue where he meets God, maybe to represent that they are actually meeting God bad? I don't know. In issue 5 in this universe, Wolverine is one of the first humans. There are a lot of choices that get made for this series. The last issue wasn't even a comic story, it was a submission guideline book so writers could submit their work to be published under Epic Comics. It also contained tips for writing a good comic. I cannot imagine writing one of the worst comics in the Marvel lineup and then ending that run with tips on how to write. Delulu is the Salulu. Marvel and I have something in common. We both want to forget about this. Hawk Owl and Woody were also part of the oddity that was You Decide. They were characters in Ultimate Adventures. They were also Batman and Robin, so clearly a parody of Batman and Robin. But with a catastrophe like Marville taking most of the You Decide spotlight, the pair almost were forgotten, as Marvel probably hoped, until I grabbed them by the scruff of their neck and dragged them back for this video. The characters weren't fan favorites, and the series itself just never ran on time. The You Decide comics were supposed to come out over a 6-month period, but Ultimate Adventures took over a year. Was it as bad as Marville? Depends on the reader. I will admit, kind of funny to me at least, Woody rigging the lights in his orphanage to respond to clappers, but only his claps? That's funny, and also extremely impressive. Arabian Knight. This guy has gone under a more intense microscope in the past few years. Anyone who knows this guy probably is like, I've been waiting for this one. For anyone who may be confused, representation, it's great. We love to see it. Arabian Knight is a powerful Muslim hero. But when that representation comes as a caricature of a culture or is done in a way that makes people of the culture feel like you're making fun of them, that's frowned upon for a good reason. It's not very nice. So Marvel did reboot this guy with a less stereotypical image and are probably hoping we all just leave the other one in the faraway depths of our minds. Editor Andy Schmidt agrees with this take. He is quoted saying, "The first version of Arabian Knight was just a visual stereotype that had no real character behind him. The original had a special magic carpet that would only respond to his mental commands, and his weapon was a scimitar. In the new version, the magic carpet got unraveled and made into a suit for Arabian Knight that still gives him all the same powers the carpet had had. And he's now just super cool." And we are done! Thanks so much for watching! Don't you forget to like, subscribe, and make your mark on the comment section down below. Let me know which hero you would forget if you could. This is Juliana, signing off. Bye!